자, 다음으로 AI 기술 발전과 비즈니스 모델 혁신이란 주제로 두 번째 세션을 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 스태빌리티 AI 에마드 모스타크 설립자님께서 영상 강연을 진행해 주시겠습니다. 에마드 모스타크 설립자님은 일정상의 문제로 인해서 부득이하게 영상으로 참여해 주시겠습니다. 영상 함께 보시죠.
Hello everyone, I'm Emad Mostaque, the founder and CEO of Scaling AI and formerly Stability AI. Unfortunately, I couldn't be with you all today in Seoul, but the organizers have kindly allowed me to share some prepared remarks that I hope will be enlightening as to artificial intelligence, where we are and where we're going, and the importance of sovereign AI. The last few years have been tremendously exciting and slightly scary as well, as this new technology has emerged that allows us to create images instantly, video, audio, and more, that allows us to make essays and translate in a way that we've never been able to before, putting the power of intelligence in everyone's hands. At Stability AI, we created models of every type, most famous of which was Stable Diffusion, with over 300 million downloads across video, audio, image, and more. This was incredibly interesting because the technology itself was something that seems complicated, was actually remarkably simple in some ways. Rather than having hundreds of thousands of lines of code that allows you to type in words and create images, what you had was a single file trained on, admittedly, an incredibly large supercomputer. In our case, we had about 10,000 A100s by the end of my period there. But the output was a 2 gigabyte file. And that 2 gigabyte file on the image side had an input of 100,000 gigabytes of images that then allowed it to take these words and create almost anything you can imagine. The same was for our video model Stable Video, which could create video and then audio as well, and even extended to other areas such as protein folding, where we supported the OpenFold project and participated in that. Looking at language models, we now see trillions of words in a single file that can run on a laptop or an iPad. But where these models are right now is a consequence of what actually happened as they were built. In order to get this type of compression of knowledge and these files, you use the supercomputers to basically find the connections between concepts, from words to images to other types of labeled data. But the output, as I mentioned, is this filter through which our expression comes. And the result of that is the models today are incredibly smart and can do a lot, but they're more like savants. They're skilled, but they have no memory. They have no in-context learning. They have no ability to adapt. And this is just the first stage, I think, of what we see, which is why everyone's trying it, but it hasn't become widespread yet. Because once you have the ability to create and discriminate, and you have image models, but also image identification models using this technology, you can then extend this into systems. And we're seeing that on the image and audio side and video side with systems such as ComfyUI that we built at Stability, whereby for every single image, it captures every single model, hyperparameter, and decision made. So I can share an image with you and it can reconstruct that entire flow. I think this will be important as we see this technology permeating into every part of our lives, because A, you need to remember how these models are interacting with, again, these savants that can just leap to conclusions and output in their context window. But more than that, I think that we will see this move towards agentic behavior and models with memory and learning capabilities that can then augment our workforce, be it on a personal level, a country level, a company level. This is quite remarkable because the key lack, I think, for many people in this audience has always been, do you have enough skilled people to work with to achieve your goals? We would all like to have an aligned AI or an aligned graduate or young person or team that can work with us to achieve the outcomes that we need. But there are never enough. There are never enough quality people that can follow instructions and learn and be innovative. This is about to change in a way that means that intelligence will be universally accessible. But we must make sure that these models and this technology is A, available to everyone, B, is accessible in a way that doesn't preclude misalignment in that it's working for someone else other than you, and C, that we all have a say in how this technology impacts us all, because it will have a dramatic impact upon society. As we train on trillions of words or billions of images, it's very possible to poison these models, for example. This means, and Anthropic had a great paper on this called Sleeper Agents, that just with a few code words, the models can behave in unpredictable or turn evil, for example, ways. The defaults in the training data lead to defaults in the output, so the models can be misaligned. You type in woman, you don't get a Korean woman, you get an American woman, because that's predominant on the internet. We need to have aligned models that are representative of all of us, and we need to have a say in the governance, because this will become incredibly important as we outsource more and more of our capabilities to these agents that can go and do jobs for us, as opposed to these reflections and mirrors that spit out answers immediately. We're already seeing this on the coding side with models like systems like Devin and others that can go away and code entire websites or applications and then come back asynchronously. But I think that would be the case across everything. I don't see a future whereby you won't have AI models supporting decisions and then making decisions in education, healthcare, finance, governance, and more. These really important topics that really affect our everyday lives. Those models, I believe, need to be open and representative. And at Stability, we built systems and models and data sets such as the Pile, Lion, Datacomp, and more. And I think that we should all be thinking, what is the data that feeds the models that teach our kids? What are the architectures that we feel comfortable in putting into mission critical activities? Because again, this is coming fast. It's almost like we've discovered this new continent called AI Atlantis. This is something that we referred to in a paper we recently published called How to Think About AI on the Shelling.ai website, where there'll be hundreds of billions of these new agents that can work for us. Are they aligned with us? How do they work? And do we know what's inside them for these really important topics? Are they representative of us? I think this is something that we need to build diligently, and there should be gold standard Korean data sets available to Korean developers, just as there should be British ones. Because ultimately, the way that we teach our kids is the same way that these models are actually trained. Curriculum learning, where you have our generalized common knowledge of humanity. This is something we're focused on at Shelling to try and map our scientific education and other knowledge, and there'll be more details of that soon. But then our specialized knowledge and our localized knowledge. And that's what represents everyone in the audience. You're made up of your experiences, and so should these models be. You should be able to trace why decisions are made as they become ever more complex, and first check every single output we make, and then ultimately we may deliver most of our thinking and decision making to them. For example, I think it'll probably be malpractice within 5, possibly 10 years, not to have a medical diagnosis checked by an AI, way before they can even make a diagnosis. But this is an inevitability, and again, I think this is why we need to focus on sovereign AI. We need to understand that although this seems incredibly scary and the research and the algorithms are complicated, this is becoming more and more of an engineering challenge as these become put into deployment, and that we can all have a say in how these models are governed and how they are available. And this can be the great uplift that enables us to create anything we can imagine and maximize our potential. I think open source is key on that, not just open weights as we see in Llama and other models, because we need to know how these models are actually made, the ingredients inside them. And I think with increased data transparency and regulation around that, for example, at Stability, we had 1 billion images opted out of our image data sets. We can build really good food to feed these models for really great outcomes to make sure they are aligned to us all, while we can still use the proprietary models. So I hope that we will have self-sovereign AI that represents us, our communities, our countries, and our people. And I hope we can use that to build even better and greater things. And so I think this is one of the scariest, most exciting times, and this will move fast. And I wish you all the best. And I can't wait to come to Korea in the future and see the leap ahead that will occur as you embrace this technology and really make even more awesome things. Thank you, everyone.
네, 에마드 모스타크 설립자님 좋은 강연 감사합니다. 영상으로 함께 만나봤습니다.